Along with redistricting, Texas lawmakers are also using the special session to respond to the deadly Hill Country flooding. This Thursday, they'll hold a hearing in Kerrville, one of the areas hardest hit by the floods. This comes 1 week after lawmakers held a hearing at the Capitol on the matter that was mostly focused on looking ahead to what things they can do in the future. But after a report in the Houston Chronicle detailing the Upper Guadalupe River Authority's decision to cut taxes rather than upgrade its flood warning systems, Representative Ann Johnson pushed the group's general manager for answers about the failings on the 4th of July.
And so I'm going to ask very pointedly and very direct, who was behind the wheel in the middle of the night in Kerr County that should have been the person that was up being prepared to sound the alarm?
I cannot answer that because
Who
I
can?
am not in our emergency response entities.
Joining us tonight is Representative Ann Johnson. Thanks for joining us, Representative.
Thank you.
The background to that soundbite that our audience just heard is that you were talking about people from the Houston community who had sent their girls to Camp Mystic and unfortunately lost some of their lives there. And so I just wanted to ask you, it seems like it's something that's hit you personally, and why is there a need to look for answers about some of the failures that happened in the 4th of July?
I think it's important for people to remember this is the second deadliest weather event in Texas history. The first being our 1900 storm in Galveston, where you didn't have information. And I think that's what's so shocking to me today, is that we do have information. We did have information. And the question has to be answered. Who knew what and when did they know it? What systems failed to step up at a time? Because you're right, we all know someone or are about one individual removed from the families that lost their daughters at the camp, or other folks that were there for the holiday weekend in RV parks or other resort areas that lost their lives. And there is no question in my mind that if people had been given the opportunity to get out of harm's way, if they had been warned, I believe this was preventable loss of life. And so it demands we actually look into it.
Do you think that as these hearings go on, there will be more bipartisan unity on trying to find answers? The person speaking right before you in that clip was Republican Senator Charles Schwertner, who also expressed his dissatisfaction with the responses.
Yeah, I mean, these are the kind of events that are special. When you talk about the governor calling a special session, this is why we should be here. If we can't coalesce and come together in a bipartisan way to respond to a tragedy of which we can implement policy changes to prevent the loss of life in the future and ensure that the right folks are in the right position with the right information and willing to do the job, then this is what we're here for. And so I fully expect, just as you saw last week, and I expect you'll see again this week, that it is an overwhelming bipartisan response to not only do what we can in the next 30 days, but I hope going into the next session to be even more robust in what we can do with regard to extreme weather and the needs of Texans.
And again, we're focused on Kerrville because that was the hardest hit, but you mentioned some of the previous events that have happened in your area, Houston, of course, with hurricanes. And you mentioned how there had been what are described as once in 100, once in 500 year events, but they've happened over and over and over in the last 20 years, I think was what you talked about. Why do you think it's so important to stress that these things are happening so often?
If you look statistically, there's no question that extreme weather is now the norm. Whether we're talking about droughts and wildfires out west, we're talking about flooding in southeast, or we're talking about this valley that is known as Flash Flood Alley. We know it. And the fact that you did not have folks prepared in this moment, and I understand that the projection of the rainfall was not exactly what was happening in real time, but that's why we need folks on the ground acknowledging what's happening in real time. It is the middle of the night, and it is a holiday weekend where you have almost 50,000 people that have descended on Kerr County, either for celebrations of 4th of July, recreation along that river, but really those camps that you know, all those parents, when they drop their child off, you know, because we've done it when we've dropped a child off somewhere, that they say, we got them, we'll take care of them. And it is the most crushing blow to us as Texans that you have a region that is promoted and known for this, and you didn't have everybody on high alert at a time when they needed to be. And the consequence of it is at least 137 people have died, a majority of them children in a camp. And so we absolutely have to respond and react. And that's why when the general manager effectively said, well, this was an extreme event that we couldn't predict and don't need to be prepared for again. No, I do come from the Houston area where we have had 3 100-year floods and a 500-year flood in the span of 10 years. And so you, as a state, must be prepared for the fact that you are going to encounter extreme weather. And it's time for us to acknowledge that, be prepared for it, and put the right policies in place to protect life.
Representative Ann Johnson, thank you for joining the show.
Good to see you.